بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم طلاب الأعزاء. أهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من كيف أتفوق في الآيلتس. اليوم هي الحلقة الثالثة من مادة Writing. This is prepared and presented by your teacher, Miss Arij Banat. Today we're going to start talking about line graphs again and other shapes and how to write or describe the way the lines or the trends go. So this is called a trend. Like as you can see in most of the time or most of the time, you can see that it is rather going down. So I can actually describe this in many different ways. So in this slide, we're going to give you some examples on how to describe this in general. So I can simply say there's a sharp fall in the number of people, etc. So this is called the sharp fall. And the line graph shows a dramatic fall in the number of, etc. So this is a sharp fall or a dramatic fall, or you can say the number of people has fallen significantly. So notice here adjective and noun, or a verb described by an adverb here. So fallen significantly, or you can say there was a significant fall. Now in another shape, as you can see, this is kind of going up, but it's not really a sharp increase. So I would rather say it's a steady or a gradual increase. So you can say a steady or a gradual increase can be noticed in the number of, etc. I can also say numbers have gradually risen or increased. And I can also say figures show a relative increase in so on. So we can say steady, gradual increase, gradually risen or gradually increased, and relative increase in something. Now let's take another shape. As you can see here, this is rather kind of like straight. So there's very little to no change at all in the number. So what would I say? I can simply say there was a period of stability between June and September, for example. Or I can say numbers tend to stabilize. So I use verb and to plus a verb in the infinitive form, so tend to stabilize. Or I can say the number of people has remained stable. So you can see period of stability, tend to stabilize or remain stable. Now this is very important. Please try to copy these expressions and keep them with you. Now in another shape, as you can see, this looks like a peak of a mountain. It's like a top of a mountain. So I would say sales reached a peak in, and then I mentioned the year here. So it reached a peak in 2020, for example. I can also say there was a peak in 2020 in the number of sales, for example, etc. So reached a peak or there was a peak. Now look at this line graph. As you can see, it's not really increasing or decreasing. Or it's not even steady. There is no stabilization. So sometimes it's up, sometimes down, sometimes it's straight, as you can see here. So what do I say here? I can say there is a fluctuating annual rainfall trend in the years between the years 1971 and 2001, for example. And you can also say annual rainfall figures show fluctuation in the years 1971 to 2001, for example. So fluctuating, or so there's a fluctuation. There is a fluctuation or a fluctuating annual rainfall trend, or show fluctuation. Okay, now let's have a look at this one here. This line graph, as you can see, the way it moves up. So it starts very low, and in a very short period of time, it goes up, like way up. So what would I say? How would I describe this? I can simply say there's a sharp increase in, or I can say with a sudden increase in, and so on. Notice that when it's a noun in here, as in this case here, you should say increase with a s sound. If it's a verb, it would turn to the z sound. That's increase. Now let's look at this shape here. Notice how the line goes up and then flattens. So it goes up and then it goes flat here. This is called a plateau. So it goes up and straight. It's called a plateau. So you can say sales reached a plateau between, for example, June and September, for instance. So reached a plateau, or I can say numbers leveled off. You can say that, or you can say figures flattened out in the months, for example, June and July, and so on. Now, in this part of our episode today, we're going to have a very quick look at this line graph. Now, at the very beginning, and this is very important, if I want to start writing in my task one in the academic writing, I have to write like a whole sentence, a long sentence like this, which is which basically states the purpose of the graph or the chart. So I want to say why or what this is about and what does serve. So I can say this line graph shows the percentage of new staff hired in a company since 1997 or from 1997 until present. Okay, so as you can see, I talk about it in general, mentioning the title here, or I can even rephrase it, yani say it in my own words, which is even better, and mention whether it's a percentage or dollars or money or whatever, and whether it's years or months and so on. Now, another shape here, as you can see, this is a bar chart or a bar graph. You can see office hours, the average per week, and these are the hours. And here we have years between 2000 up to present. So how would I say this? How would I describe this? So I want to state the purpose in general. At the very beginning of my writing, I should say the following. I can say the bar graph or the bar chart gives information on weekly office hour average at the company between 2000 and present. So this is one way to state the purpose of this chart here. Now there are more and more examples and sample answers on these shapes in page 182. I wrote my own so that you can also have extra examples at the back. So you can go back to page 182 for that. Now that we have reached the end of our video today, thank you for watching. I hope you would, subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends. Have a good day. Bye.